Hi there, welcome back. First of all, this is a long video. It's just over 33 minutes long. We use these three lovely, was it three? Yes, three lovely molds that Wayne is currently showing you with mica powders, with alcohol inks. I think it's alcohol inks. And look at this first mold that he's showing you. So it's Wayne doing the demo, Laura doing the voiceover, and Hugo does all our audio, video, and editing, visual editing. Look at these molds. Now, and then this, oh, look at this. These molds are from one of our Temu hauls. It's the most recent one that we did. We weren't sponsored for it, but look at this one. So this is the first one that he's doing. It's like a little urn. Or as my mum saw when she saw it done, she went, my sweet bonbon dish. Yeah, okay, mum. Little hint there. So Wayne has turned it inside out. He's using some mica powders. Now, it's a little tower of mica powder colours, and they're from Temu. And as usual, everything that we use in the video today will be linked in the description box. So he's just going to apply it to the mould using a short length bristled dry paintbrush there, just regular paintbrush. And he's just dipping it in that beautiful deep yellow mica powder and applying it to the mould. Now, the one thing to say about these particular mica powders is they look a lot more densely coloured and vivid when you brush them on the mould to what they actually turn out. So that's, don't be, if you get these mica powders and you're thinking, I'm going to have a real deep yellow or real rich orange, you won't. So please don't be too disappointed. But look at that. He's applying beautiful red or reddy pink colour to the petal part on this mould. There's so much detail in these moulds. We bought a lot of moulds. We treated ourselves to a lot of moulds. But being that they were from Temu, they were a lot more reasonably priced than going anywhere else. So, but it was great as well because we weren't restricted, because it wasn't a sponsored video. Like this is not a sponsored video. And so we could pick what we wanted. So moving on, she says. Here he is. He's just making this look absolutely stunning. Now, he does use a coloured resin to fill these. You could try this and just use a completely clear resin if you wanted. Now, if you're going to do that, do make sure that there are next to no bubbles in the resin when you pour the resin into the mould. The odd tiny, tiny little micro bubble isn't too bad, but if you have lots of bubbles, doesn't look so good. Now, we do have a machine that we put it through. If we're going to do crystal clear resin, and we're not, we want it bubble free or as near to bubble free as you can get. So we then do put the resin through that machine, and it just literally pulls all the bubbles out of the resin up to the surface, and they disperse. They disappear. But we didn't use crystal clear resin with this. Wayne did actually use that greeny coloured dye, which is in the top right, which I think is an alcohol ink. To colour the resin, and that was at my request, because there is a particular type of green coloured clear glass. I think it's I don't know if it's from the late 20s, 30s, might even be as far up to the 1950s era or decades, where it was very fashionable to have it. And yeah, it just happens to be something I like, so I asked him if he, please. So here he is. He's making up colour at this point. So he's applied beautiful pink. He's applied a slightly orange colour. And now he's going in with a little bit of that mauvey colour, just to get the colour that he wants on these petals on the flowers. So drop us a comment. Do you like the colours that he's using? What colours would you use? What do you think of this mould? It's the way this actually turns out. There's a lot of work in this particular project. Wayne tends to do this, you see. I like the ones I think, yes, right, that'll take me that'll be about 15 to 20 minute maximum video. And then Wayne comes along and he just smashes it out the park, and he hits the ball out the park, as it were, that expression. And you know, there's not one mould, they're not two mould, there's 3 moulds, all with a lot of detail. And he thinks about, oh, I'm going to put all this in and that in and so on. Now this is one of the lids to one of these pots. It's not to the little urn pot. Oh, is it actually? No, it's not the lid. I don't think it is anyway, to the pot that he's just done. It's a lid to another pot that you're going to see. I mean, yeah, these lids are, well, these whole moulds are gorgeous. There we go. We've gone in for a bit more of a close-up there. A bit more of a close-up. Look at that. So that is actually a flower shape. So the little, what should we call it? Knob on top of the lid. I don't know what else to call it by. Knob. On top of the lid there is in the shape of a flower. Look at that. That's beautiful. So he's doing his best. Bless him. Bless him. Yeah. Do you know, when filming this video, he was more concerned about how his hands would look, because you've probably spotted it. If you're one of our regular viewers, Wayne normally has black nail polish. And, yeah, he did this like the day before we were due to go back. And it's so funny. I usually go and have my nails done. And, yeah, then he has his done afterwards. There we go. But that's the artistic temperament side. That's us, you see, in a nutshell. Like to be unique, like to be a little bit different, like to be unique. So let's carry on with this mould. So he's just cleaning it off, and this is the other one. This is another mould. I mean, he's going to do the centres of the flowers with the yellow, I think. There we go. I mean, we must try these colours for the flowers, and use crystal clear resin and see if it comes out any more vivid, or if it comes out true to the colour that it is here. I wonder if it will. I really just don't know. I just don't know. But, you know, you sometimes find this with mica powders, that this is what happens. So then, as you can probably see, we've skipped a step. And he has applied that beautiful pinky red. Now he's going over with more of this orangey red colour. Just dusting it all over there. Obviously, this bit's been sped up. Otherwise, this video would have been like an hour and a half. But obviously, you know, take your time. When you're applying the mica powder, you know, this will take as long as it needs to take. Whatever you do, though, don't make your resin up in advance, because that will cure solid in the mixing cup or mixing jug before you even get a chance to pour it into this. So do the mica powders first if you're going to do that. And yeah, then make up your resin and pour your resin and so on. Do it that way around. So he's almost finished, I think, with this one. They look beautiful. What would look really nice as well, actually, is if you made just some white coloured resin and poured that in with this. I mean, obviously you don't have to highlight the details of the mould using mica powders. You can just do it in an opaque resin, would look good too. Or just a clear resin but dyed with some alcohol ink. So here we are, he's doing the final step. This is what he's done with all of them. And he's just brushing over some of this lovely mauve mica powder. We are. So it just gives it a little hint there. Looks really pretty. Very much our colours. The pinks and the lavenders and the mauves. Same sort of like our brand logo colours. There you go. So just applying that over. Gorgeous. There we are. So yeah. He did, of course, tap the mould to get rid of any residue mica powder that was left on there, just to make sure that it wasn't sitting there waiting for the resin, because you don't want clumps of it. Now, at this point, he did start putting the mauve on this section. Now, I would say this is almost looks like a piece of pleated material, and then decided against it, and he cleaned it off with some isopropyl alcohol and, you know, a wipe, a piece of kitchen towel. So he cleaned all that off. Now he's moved on to another mould. Hopefully you're keeping track of all these different moulds. I know it's quite difficult. Cool. Now, it's gone in there with that beautiful deep reddy pink coloured. This is the lid part of the final mould. The final one, everyone. If you're still with us, thanks ever so much. I know we're almost 10 minutes in and all we've done is mica powders. But, you know, there are 3 moulds here. All of them with a lot of detail and also a lot of steps involving mica powder. But it looks like he's used red and then a nice deep orangey colour in the lid. Now he's turned this mould. This mould has been turned inside out. Now this one looks, if you go back to our Temu haul, we did a close up of this, and it looks like it's got like a broderie anglaise lace pattern to it. But look at the way that orange is colouring onto the mould. I mean, that is gorgeous. But as I said, spoiler alert, as I've said this before, they don't come out as densely or vividly pigmented in the finished piece. But that's absolutely fine, because that was actually what we were going for. But yeah, so as you can see, he's gone over it quite a lot here. There was some detail. It's just too difficult just to go over the detail itself. So what he did is he just thought, well, I'm going to colour a big band of it, and then I'm going to wipe it off, the residue off afterwards, which is what he did. So you can see here, I love this colour. Actually, this is quite autumnal. And I suppose because we do end up using a greeny coloured resin, although it's clear it is green coloured, again, that's using perhaps the autumn or fall type of colours or colour tones and palette. So yeah, this was about as autumnal as Wayne was going to get, I think. But yeah, this is beautiful. So there we go, just giving a little bit of a tap, making sure he's getting rid of any residue mica powder. And then can you see what he's doing here? He's just going over, wiping it off. Now that is a piece of, I think that's a piece of kitchen roll, or it might be a wet wipe that he's just using. If it's kitchen roll, he'll have spritzed it with some isopropyl alcohol, and he is now just rubbing out or rubbing off the bits where he doesn't want the mica powder to be. So can you see it's just highlighting in those, they look like little round dimples along the top there. There we are, what he's doing there. And then, yeah, it's just highlighting that other, look, it is literally like broderie anglaise lace. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about there. It was a lace made from cotton with little cutout pieces to it. And then he's going in and he's doing, he loves mauvey purple colours, Wayne. So he's going in and he's just going over it with the mauvey purpley colour in the centre part. Just colouring it over. As I said, hello to everybody who in the live chat, if you've joined us today. Hope you're enjoying this slightly longer than usual video. That you've got yourself nice and comfortable, and that you've got, you know, a glass of something that you like drinking. Maybe some biscuits to dunk in it, or cookies. And yeah, that you're enjoying it so far. So there are a lot of moulds. There's 3 that he's used, all with lids as well as bases. And yeah, he's just been showing it. So here we go. So this is alcohol ink. As usual, everything that we use in the video will be linked in the description box, along with any discount codes, coupons, vouchers, offers, if there should be any. I'm not sure there are for these inks, but there certainly will be links to the Temu app and website for you. If you're a new user, there is an offer, I believe, for new users that you can use to get maybe a bit more discount or some coupons sent through. So he's just adding a few drops at a time because wasn't sure how much this was going to colour the resin. He's using T-Expert resin, which is our favourite resin choice at the moment. We're almost out of it, I can't believe it. And it's a 1-to-1 mixing ratio. Now this little bit has been sped up a bit because he doesn't usually stir it this quickly. You mix the part A and part B equal parts together, and then you mix it slowly and steadily for at least 5 minutes, just to make sure part A and part B are completely combined. And then we usually leave it for about 2 or 3 minutes so all the bubbles, most of the bubbles will disperse. Now, he did say to me at that point, before adding that last lot, do you think it's green enough? And I said, no, put more in. Put more in. Yeah. It was amazing, actually, how much it took. So he's just checking with me again, bless him. Is it green enough? And I'm just sort of, you know, when you get that picture in your mind and you think, I know what colour it should be, I know what colour it should be. And it wasn't quite there. So yeah, I managed to persuade him because he wasn't feeling very confident about adding more colour to this. But I persuaded him. He trusted me. He trusted me. So here we go. Pouring into the mini, what I can only describe as an urn, a flower urn. If you've seen those ornate urns that you can get for your garden that are on a pedestal, it's like a miniature version of one of those. When it's demoulded, it looks like what my mother would call a bonbon dish, which is a sweet dish, elaborate sweet dish. So carefully pouring the resin into the mould, because this mould at the top was a little bit wobbly. He's stopped, he's let the resin sink down to the bottom to level itself, and then he's just squishing around the bottom there just to make sure that there's no air bubbles trapped, because that would be awful because there's a lot of detail around the top edge. Now, he's pouring it from a height of about 8 inches away from the mould. I managed to persuade him to do that as well. I'm so mean. And that was just to try and ensure that not many bubbles actually formed in the resin when he was pouring it. So there we go. So slow and steady pouring definitely wins the race here. So it's creeping up. You can see it creeping up through the mould as it's gradually getting fuller and fuller, almost to the top. He is going to fill it up so it fills that sort of fluted, pleated edge bit as well. There we go. See, that looks a lot less green than when you saw it when he was mixing the colour in. Now, he's gone to the lid. Now, this is an insert. There's a silicone insert that comes with this mould that you're supposed to put in the lid so you don't use as much resin and it creates more of a dome shape. But we've never used one before. Now, I don't know if we'd ever use it again. I don't know. Or we'd work out another way of being able to use it, because the cleanup afterwards and making sure the lid was good, there was a lot of work involved. Just a lot of work. I'm not sure if he filmed all of that or whether all of that is in this video, but there was a lot of work involved. So he's poured some resin in. You can probably see it's changed colour in the bottom there. And he's just given it a good squidge, so it just disperses any bubbles that might be trapped. And then we're going back to filling it up. So you have to fill it up in between these gaps. And then it's quite difficult to see because that insert actually goes over the top edge of the mould. And it obscures you being able to see where you're supposed to fill to. The level, the line you're supposed to fill to on the lid of the mould. Yeah, we're going to work out a different way of doing this or using the insert, but yeah, we're just going to work out a different way, I think. And if we film that, we will obviously discuss it and that might be in a future video. So there we go. Maybe one for Christmas time where perhaps you might have this as a sweet dish or a bonbon dish, sweetie bonbon dish thing, where it's, you know, Christmas sweeties would look lovely in it. As long as they're wrapped, they're okay to put in this kind of dish. I would not put anything that's not wrapped in the word that's edible in these dishes. Okay, it is food safe resin, but as in, you know, wrapped sweets, not using as dessert dishes to serve up things like puddings and trifles in. Don't be doing that kind of thing. So there you go, just steadily pouring it in, filling it up gradually. We're getting there. So Wayne did also spritz all of these once they were full with the resin with some isopropyl alcohol, just to help disperse any of the remaining little bubbles. And look, this is when we realised we didn't have enough resin made up. But he's using up what resin he does have to fill up this other little lid. And this, I think this was the lid to the Broderie Anglaise pot. But we'll see when he demoulds just which one this one belongs to, because I've sort of lost track a bit here, to be honest. So there we go, gradually filling it up. See, there's no way that that looks as densely green as it did in the large mixing jug. So here we go, we're going to fill up the pot part. See, that looks almost as if it doesn't have any colour in it at all, but it does. So there we go, it's just filling that one up. I think this is the Broderie Anglaise lace pot. Steadily pouring it. As I said, he's a good 8 inches up above. Steady stream, as you can see, and almost no bubbles in that at all, which is great. It's exactly what we want. Whoop. Gonna pour from the other side, perhaps. Oh no, he has spotted a little something in the resin, which of course he's just hooked out, and he's doing that using a micro brush that hasn't got the little foam brush thing on it anymore. But there we go, you can use a little cocktail stick or tweezers, whichever you feel more comfortable using. There we go, just pouring the rest of the resin into that. He was quite nervous about pouring resin from this sort of height distance away from the mould, but yeah, it's doing it really confidently there. So almost completely full this now, almost there. And yeah, so filled all of them up, and then this is the following day. Did I say filled all of them up? Actually, I don't think we've seen one of the moulds filled, but we'll see. So look at this. This resin, it's like glass. I mean, there's a couple of tiny bubbles, but it is literally like glass. Look at the concentration of colour coming up. Look at that. Goodness me. That's almost like the top of the merry-go-rounds you see at fairs, or the carousel, I think some people call it, with the one with the horses. Got a little bit of bleed of the mica powder there in the mould, but I don't think it detracts from it. It's beautiful. There are some tiny, tiny micro bubbles in it, but I don't think, as I said, that detracts at all. So this is the base for that lid. Now then. Here we go. Oh, look. Look at that. Now, when you consider that's actually got 3 colours of mica powder on it, you wouldn't have thought so. You'd have thought it had just got one. It's very, very subtle. But look at that detail. That is amazing. I love that. Absolutely love that. Very, very nice, and it goes exceptionally well, I think, with the green resin. Really lovely. A few little bubbles, as we said, but I don't think that detracts from it. Looks almost like the glass, doesn't it? Almost like glass. As I said, what colours, you know, put in the comments box. Do you like these? Do you think they're a good colour combination? What colour combination would you use? What would you suggest to us to use? And who knows, might actually try some of your colour combination suggestions in future videos, particularly if we're making this sort of thing. Now, this is a lid, the lid to the urn, and this was the insert. So you take the insert out, and already we can see big issue. Big issues. So, there is about almost a ½ centimetre, yeah, a good ½ centimetre too much resin on that lid. Yeah, and that is just because we've used that insert, which is such a shame. Look at that. So that is with no mica powder at all in the lid. I love the shape of it. A little bit like the circus tent, you know, the big top circus tent sort of shape. But it looks really good. Now we were thinking, how on earth are we going to get rid of that additional resin? And yeah, this was still, although it was a whole day later, this was still pretty, it was soft enough to be cut for us to cut through it. So with a mixture of using some very, very sharp scissors and a craft knife, Wayne does actually rectify the issue there. But look, this is the base that goes with that lid. Look at this. A little bit tricky to demold. It was just a little bit stiff because this is, of course, the first time we've been using these. But look at that. Absolutely stunning. There we go. As you can see, in this part of the video, Wayne has had his nails done. So this tells you this was a good day or two later. But yeah. And look at that. Gorgeous. It's just subtle enough, I think. Just subtle enough. I love that. You know that dish on its own without a lid? Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You can put whatever you like in it. Really can just put whatever you like in it. Really, really lovely. Now, yes, we've jumped back to the third mould because it was at this point he realised he hadn't put resin in that last mould. So, yeah. Oh dear. So excuse the order, please, that this video is in. But he realised when he was demoulding the others, where's the other pot? Where's the other pot? And then, yeah, he hadn't actually poured resin in it. What had happened is he'd used up all the resin that he'd made up in the other ones, left them to cure and thought, oh, that's it. So forgive us for that, but never mind, you could treat this like a little bonus bit at the end. So this mould, this is the one with the beautiful, almost like pleated petticoat material edging to it. That's the only way I can describe the detail of it. Looks like pleated fabric, and it's also got the flowers around the top of it as well, which he dusted with the different colour mica powders, which you've seen him do with the urn mould, the little urn or bonbon dish mould. So steadily pouring in this beautiful emerald green coloured see-through resin, almost up to the top. Nearly there, and obviously just steadily pouring, as I've said before, just to make sure that there are as fewer bubbles as possible in the finished cured piece. So there we go. Look, that gets a little bit darker as it gets to the top. Never ceases to amaze me, resin doesn't, as to how it behaves and so on. Sorry, it's slightly out of focus there. And there we go. There we go. So there we are, just spritzing it with some isopropyl alcohol. As you can see, there's the bonbon dish to the right. And now this is beautiful lid. So again, he's just going to fill this one up with resin. And we had to wait another day for it to completely cure before he could demold it. And then we could show you the finished piece. So there we go. Ironically, this lid does look a lot greener than the others, and I have no clue why that is. I don't know if it's just because it's a solid lid, it doesn't have an inset or inlay bit to it. I'm not sure, but it is a lot more green than the others, but it's absolutely fine. I don't think it detracts from the piece itself when you see it finished. Really rather like these. And I have a feeling my mother also really rather likes those, but would like them in a different colour. So there we go. It's completely filled to the top. He's just going to go around the very edge there and just underneath that rim with a little micro brush, just trying to persuade any little bubbles that might be stuck underneath to come to the surface, to actually just burst. So he's just trying to get rid of those. Although, to be honest with you, if they were trying to get the impression that this was glass from the 30s, 40s, or the 1930s, 40s, or the 1950s era or decades, then a few little bubbles, tiny bubbles, micro bubbles, doesn't matter. As I said, if you know the name of that particular style or type of glass that was in fashion then in those decades, drop it down in the comments. Let us know, because I'd be very interested to know. Oh, carefully move it. Almost had an accident there where we had resin everywhere. So just final little top up of resin, spritz of some isopropyl alcohol, and you put the lid and the pot to one side to cure completely before he demolds it. If you're still with us, thank you for bearing with us. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you're in the live chat, hopefully you're still with us in the live chat. Thank you for sticking with us. Really great to interact with our viewers and our subscribers. If you haven't subscribed and you've just found us by chance, or we've come as a recommendation from YouTube, why not create a YouTube account? It doesn't cost anything to do that. Find our page. We're Lottie Jasmine Designs. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and then it'll tell you when we upload videos, which usually 3 times a week, Wednesdays, Fridays and Sundays at 5 p.m. UK time. There we go. Oh, look at that. Now, I actually think I prefer that. So that's the solid lid without an insert, whereas the bonbon dish has got a lid with an insert used to create it. I love that. Here we go with the base. It does just look like a pleated skirt. Love it. Absolutely gorgeous, these moulds. Look at that. Almost looks a little bit like a tumbler glass, perhaps. Obviously don't drink out of these. I wouldn't recommend that at all. There we go. So that's the base and that's the top. Some of the mica powder's not as densely covered as others in places, but again, you know, flowers in nature aren't all going to be exactly the same colourway. The lid at first sight didn't fit, and that's because we realised it was slightly oval shaped, this pot. So Wayne he's just telling me, that's what he's doing there. Did you realise this is oval shaped? So with a bit of manipulation, gentle manipulation, he managed to get it in more as a circle, and that's it with the lid on top. Look at that. With some cotton wool buds in, or some Q-tips, or cotton wool buds or cotton wool balls, that would look lovely. So here we are in the finished shot, the finishing shot. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It is a lot longer than our normal ones. Thank you for being with us and watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing. And here we go. We will see you again with another video in a few days. Have a great day, everyone. Goodbye.